you can say he has abandoned views also, reckoning views about this and that. That does not have conceit. He has cut off craving for name and form. Nama Rupa here is phenomenal, object of consciousness, because in the suttas, Nama Rupa always arises together with Vijnana. Vijnana is consciousness. So Nama Rupa is the object of Vijnana, object of consciousness. So Nama Rupa, name and form, or mentality, materiality, is phenomena, what we are conscious of. So, in other words, the world around us. So he has cut off craving for it. So he has cut off craving for the things in the world. Then he is not born again. That's why devas and humans search for him, and they cannot find him when he has passed away. So that's the end of the sutta. Now we go to 1.21. At Savatthi, standing to one side, that Devata recited this verse in the presence of the Blessed One, as if smitten by a sword, as if his head were on fire. A monk should wander mindfully to abandon sensual lust. And the Blessed One replied, as if smitten by a sword, as if his head were on fire, a monk should wander mindfully to abandon identity view. So here the Devata is saying that a monk should be earnest, as though he is struck by a sword, or his head were on fire, or it's like his turban is on fire. So a monk should abandon sensual desire, sensual lust. But the Buddha says a monk should abandon identity view. This identity view is Sakaya Ditti. It's one of the three factors that you have to eliminate to attain Sotapanna. So the meaning of identity view is that you identify yourself with the five aggregates. You take the five aggregates to be I or mine, or I am in the five aggregates, or the five aggregates are inside me. So when you identify yourself with the five aggregates, you are still a Putujana. So Sotapanna, he has abandoned, he has eliminated Sakaya Ditti, identity view. So even though he still has a self, but he knows the body and the mind, this body is not the self. He can see this body is impermanent and beyond his control. So he knows that this body and this mind one day will pass away, and the elements will scatter. So, but in spite of that, it's very hard to eliminate the I. Only the Arahant has eliminated the self. 1.22. The Devata said, it does not touch one who does not touch, but then will touch the one who touches. Therefore it touches the one who touches, the one who wrongs an innocent man. And the Buddha replied, if one wrongs an innocent man, a pure person without blemish, the evil falls back on the fool himself, like fine dust thrown against the wind. So here, what does the Devata mean? He says, the first line, it does not touch one who does not touch. It, the first it refers to the vipaka, the result of karma. It does not touch. Vipaka does not touch the one who does not commit karma. The second touch, who does not touch, is commit karma. So one who does not commit karma, the vipaka does not touch him. But then will touch the one who touches. The one who commits karma, the vipaka will touch him. So one who wrongs an innocent man, the vipaka will come back to him. 1.23, the Devata said, a tangle inside, a tangle outside. This generation is entangled in a tangle. I ask you this, O Gotama, who can disentangle this tangle? Okay, I explain a bit. This tangle or knot the tangle inside, the mass of craving within us. The tangle outside is the mass of craving for external sense objects. So we have a mass of craving within us and outside. Then he asked, who can disentangle this tangle? And the Buddha replied, a man established on virtue, wise, developing the mind and wisdom, among ardent and discreet, he can disentangle this tangle. Those for whom lust and hatred, along with ignorance, has been expunged, got rid of, the arahants with asavas destroyed. For them the tangle is disentangled. Where name and form ceases, stops without remainder, and also impingement and perception of form, it is here this tangle is cut. That's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha is saying the arahants with taints destroyed or with asavas destroyed. Arahant is called a kinasava, one who has destroyed the asavas. And the asavas can be translated as uncontrolled mental outflows. And basically, this uncontrolled mental outflows is the flow of consciousness. Because when the six consciousness flows, then the world arises. So Arahant is one who has destroyed the uncontrolled mental outflows, and the tendency of consciousness to flow is destroyed in him. So when he passes away, consciousness does not continue to flow. Consciousness stops altogether. Again the Buddha says, where name and form ceases, nama rupa ceases. And also, when nama rupa ceases, consciousness also ceases, vijnana, because as I mentioned just now, consciousness and nama rupa and vijnana, they are always together. They are always in a pair. When consciousness arises, nama rupa, the object, also arises. When consciousness ceases, nama rupa also ceases. So when name and form ceases, it means consciousness ceases. And also impingement, contact and perception of form ceases. It is here that this tangle is cut. This is the state when a person enters, passes away and enters Nibbana or Parinibbana. Then, as described in the Kevada Sutta of the Digha Nikaya, the six consciousness ceases. And then that is the ultimate state. The next sutta, 1.24. From whatever one reigns in the mind, from that no suffering comes to one. Should one reign in the mind from everything, one is freed from all suffering. So here the Devata is saying that we should control or discipline the mind. If we control the mind from everything, then one is free from suffering. But the Buddha said, one need not rein in the mind from everything. When the mind has come under control, from whatever it is that evil comes, from this one should rein in the mind. So the Buddha says that initially we have to rein in the mind until it comes under control. Then when it is come under control, a disciplined mind, basically a mind that is one-pointed, then we should rein the mind, control the mind on what is evil. In other words, if we anything unwholesome, if we indulge in it, it gives us suffering, then we should not allow the mind to indulge in it. The next sutta, 1.25. If a monk is an arahant, consummate, that means perfect or pure, with asavas destroyed, one who bears his final body, would he still say, I speak? And would he say, they speak to me? I stop here for a moment. This Devata is asking the Buddha, if a person has become enlightened, would he still say that I talk or they talk? We still have that I, And then the Buddha said, if a monk is an arahant, consummate, with taints destroyed or asavas destroyed, one who bears his final body. He might still say, I speak, and he might say, they speak to me. Skillful, knowing the world's parlance or expression, or way of speaking, he uses such terms as mere expressions. Then the Devata again said, when a monk is an arahant, consummate with asavas destroyed, one who bears his final body, is it because he has come upon conceit that he would say, I speak, that he would say, they speak to me? I'll stop here for a moment. So here this Devata is doubting the Buddha's words. He thinks if that monk still says, I speak, or they speak to me, he still has conceit, he still has ego or self. Then the Buddha replied, no knots exist for one with conceit abandoned. From him all knots of conceit are consumed. Though the wise one has transcended the conceived, he still might say, I speak. He might say too, they speak to me. Skillful, knowing the world's parlance or expressions, he uses such terms as mere expressions. So the Buddha reiterates, says again that an arahant, he might still, the way he talks, you might still think that he has an I, a self, but he does not. He talks like an ordinary human being, because when you talk to people, you have to talk the normal way. 1.27, a Devata asks, from where do the streams turn back? From where does the round no longer revolve? Where does name and form cease, stop without remainder? And the Buddha said, where water, earth, fire and air do not gain a footing, it is from here that the streams turn back, here that the round no longer revolves, here name and form ceases, stops without remainder. Here the Devata is asking where the streams turn back. This means a stream of life. The round no longer revolves, the round of rebirths. Where does phenomena, name and form cease? Then the Buddha says, where earth, water, fire and wind do not gain a footing, have no chance to come into existence. This earth, water, fire and wind are the four elements, is the material world. This material world is just a perception of consciousness. Because consciousness, vijnana, is conscious of nama rupa. Rupa is the physical part of phenomena. So, because the world exists in consciousness, so the four elements, even though they appear so real to us, it is actually just a perception that consciousness perceives. So it is just a behavior of the world. Like water is supposed to be fluid, and it has a shape. And earth is something hard. Fire is something that has heat. And wind, something that moves. So it's a perception. So the physical world is actually a perception of consciousness. And when these elements do not have a chance to arise, then here nama rupa ceases. But as we mentioned, when nama rupa ceases, then consciousness also ceases. So when consciousness ceases, then the stream of life does not flow anymore. The round of rebirth stops. The next sutta is 1.29. Devata said to the Buddha, having 4 wheels and 9 doors, filled up and bound with greed, born from a bog, O great hero, how does one escape from it? And the Buddha replied, having cut the thong and the strap, having cut off evil desire and greed, having drawn out craving with its root, thus one escapes from it. So here I explain. Here the Devata is saying,